Chris?
What?
Oh, I figured you were going to take it.
No, I have nothing to say to Craig. He keeps cutting me off. He can die in a fire.
Well, he's bringing in the guest right now, so you should probably say something to him.
Something to him.
Okay, perfect. So we're the Grumpy Dungeon Masters. I'm Jay. I'm joined with my co-hosts, Christopher, Christian, and Dan. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello there.
No, I refuse to address him until he pays me back what he owes me.
So, Christian, where can they find us on social medias?
You can find the Grumpy Dungeon Masters on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you get your podcast. You can also listen to it on YouTube. And you can catch us streaming live on Twitch TV on Tuesday and Thursday evenings. Currently going through Valheim. Soon, maybe something else. We're getting near the end of that. But yeah, if you like what you hear from us, if you like what you see when you see us streaming, please leave us a like, leave us a comment, and subscribe to our channels.
He said Valheim correctly this week.
Valheim?
Yeah, Valheim.
Norse words are hard.
So this week we have two wonderful guests with us. Say hello.
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 That was quite demanding, Jay.
Yeah, I know. I forgot. I'm sorry. I'm talking to guests, not Craig.
So mean.
Yep. So state your names for the record.
Bruce Summers.
So Bruce Summers and
I'm Carson. We
Hi,
are. Well, I guess you're going to say what we do. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if you want us to introduce ourselves, we can. But
yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So we are authors in the Legends of Greyhawk
program.
So
what is the Legends of Greyhawk program, real quick?
Hold on. Oh no, I'm interrupting on this one intentionally. Right. So I heard about the Legends of Greyhawk this year at GaryCon. Mm-hmm. First time I'd heard about it. Dan went and played in a game of Legends of Greyhawk, and I never got any exposition of what that was, other than it was a Greyhawk game. And then they invite you to the podcast, and I got no exposition at all about what the Legends of Greyhawk was. And then a few hours ago, Chris links, he posts the link to Legends of Greyhawk, and I look and I'm like, oh, I know what this is. So yeah, it's basic. I'll let you go ahead and do the description, but now I know what it is because he finally posted a link to it. So thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Well, it's organized play, kind of like Adventurers League, but with a little bit more of a focus on convention play.
I'd call it like a spiritual successor
to the RPGA.
Adventurers League.
And definitely a spiritual successor to Living Greyhawk.
Yes.
Possibly revisionist history of Living Greyhawk.
That's what I was going to ask about, because I remember Living Greyhawk from back in the day, and I didn't know if this was the same thing or...
So not the same thing, but certainly draws a lot of parallels from. So just like how Living Greyhawk had regions, Legends of Greyhawk has regions. Now, what Legends of Greyhawk does not have are the duchies and the I don't remember what they were called, but the local organizers who make the laws of the land. That does not exist in Living Greyhawk, as far as I know. Oh, I'm sorry, Legends of Greyhawk.
But basically, different regions of the country and of the world, I believe there's at least one international group coming down the pipes, are basically publishing different adventures in the setting of Greyhawk. And we are lucky enough to be participating with some really amazing writers on putting some of that content out.
Yeah, it'd be really cool to actually get the stuff outside of conventions and play it at my store, because I run Adventures League for my community, and there's a couple really old grognards that wanted to play it, and they heard about it, and I told them, no, it doesn't exist. Is there any opportunity that's ever going to come to an actual store, or is it just always going to be conventions?
So, cool news. I'm very proud to tell you that you're in fact already behind the times, as
great.
there are 3 packs of adventures that have already come out on D&D Beyond for Legends of Greyhawk.
Okay.
So they're 3 sets of thematically linked adventures.
There's Elemental Evil Rising and Secret to the Free City. Both are by Baldman Games. I'm sure if you're at GaryCon, you've heard of them. They're fantastic. We work with Game Conclave, and we have 2 adventures published in the Tales from Turtleback Cove package of adventures.
Okay.
Chris, how do you not already have these? I thought you had everything on D&D Beyond.
I don't buy any third-party content, and now that I looked at it, it looks like they label this stuff under third-party content, even though it's Greyhawk.
Yeah, it's clearly not.
Yeah, not related to WotC at all, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, D&D Beyond is strange and arcane. I always struggle to find things in there. I know they've been constantly improving it and developing it, and someday I'll finally understand it.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because like I've been on D&D Beyond ever since I started playing 5th edition, and when it was owned by fandom and run by fandom, there was a lot of there was a weekly or bi-weekly developer stream where they talked about stuff and improvements on D&D Beyond. Like that's where I got information about like how D&D Beyond creates like a 3D invisible box. So when you roll dice, it actually bounces around inside this box. There's no random number generated for the dice. And just really cool things like that. I learned all that by watching the dev streams. And then once WotC bought it, it all just stopped. And I haven't found out anything about how it works or operates since then. And finding stuff on it sometimes is just, it's just really hard to find stuff. And it makes me kind of sad. Like I didn't know these actually existed on there until I searched their store by the game company. So when I searched for Game Conclave, I find your Tales from Turtleback Cove, and when I search for the other company, I can find their adventures. But it's not on the main page, or it's not easy to find. But at least I can go to the D&D Beyond store and find it. So. But that's going to be good news for the people that I know that want to actually play in Greyhawk. How'd you guys get involved with running for Greyhawk?
So it's kind of a funny story. I did organization for Adventurers League. I still do on a limited basis, but pre-COVID, I did a lot of the organization for the Orlando Adventurers Guild. And I worked really closely with people who did organization at conventions, and I would DM games at a lot of conventions, and Bruce would as well. And, by being really reliable and really getting, really good hype from our players and kind of proving ourselves in that arena, eventually Thomas Valley, one of the leads on Game Conclave, kind of tapped us to be like, hey, have you guys ever considered writing for some kind of organized play program? And I am brand new to writing for D&D. Like I'm an Adventurers League DM. It's kind of my first time writing my own content. Now Bruce has been doing really, really amazing home games for years and years and years. But
that's raw flattery. This is also my first time writing in anything.
But they took a chance on us, and I feel like I've learned a great deal from the amazing people we get to work with. A lot of Adventurers League writers, and they've been very patient with us, and it's been super fun.
That's really cool. You said you were running Adventures League. How long did you do that for 5th edition?
My first D&D game was Adventurers League.
Yeah, I can tell you because Sword Coast Adventurers Guide had just come out. So if I can tell you when that came out, I can tell you when we started playing Adventurers League.
Bruce has been playing D&D for a long, long time, but I didn't actually get into it until we just kind of randomly walked up to it at MegaCon in Orlando and sat down and played for like 4 hours.
That was also Thomas Valley.
That was also Thomas Valley, but that was in like 2015, I think.
Yeah, 2015.
And then, so I guess I've been running D&D for about, I'd say 8 years at this point. Now, Bruce, you've got a lot more time on me than that. But
oh, yeah. I mean, I started running in, the post 4th edition days when we were all still playing 3.5.
Yep.
Yep, all of us, right, Chris?
I'm sorry?
Yeah. I know what 3.5 is. 3.5 is a thing.
We continuously rag on Chris because when people started playing 4th edition, and then everybody we knew tried it out and then decided, 3.5 or Pathfinder's where we're going to stick around for a while, and pretty much everybody stuck there until 5th edition. Chris was all in on 4th edition.
Well, I mean, Matt Colville has a book that came out that I heard is very good.
I mean, Chris started in 4th edition. You can't fault, if you start a brand new game and you're going to play the edition that's out.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yep.
I think my first technical game, you had a Pathfinder game at the house, and it was the first time I was sitting down to try to play a tabletop game at all, really. And people showed up with like carts full of books, and I think that kind of turned me off. Like, I spent a lot of time like really lovingly building this little gnome bard, and then one of our friends showed up with, I kid you not, like 8 different source books stacked on top of each other. So getting in kind of like right at that point in 5th edition, I think was really the sweet spot for me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Starting it early too, when there weren't a huge amount of supplemental books and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, Pathfinder was always, I mean, Pathfinder was the first one to really have a core book that was like an encyclopedia, because they put everything in one book. And then when they started making splat books, it just became pretty overwhelming for sure. And I can see how a new player might be turned off by that. However, I will say, in Paizo's defense, they put all of their content for free on their SRD, and you never actually had to carry a book, which was fantastic, or buy a book for that matter.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, but it's called Mathfinder for a reason.
Oh, please. Pathfinder is not Mathfinder. We got to go back to 3rd edition, or God, the 80s, and Rollmaster and percentile dice systems for real Mathfinder.
That's Chartfinder.
Chartfinder. Yeah.
Let's not forget the when in your long-running Pathfinder game that Rob basically broke out an Excel spreadsheet to keep track of all of our various buffs and stuff, because we had so many spellcasters that it was just like, okay, what are we running on? Oh, you cast Dispel Magic. How many enchantments do you have in you? I have 16. Okay, let's go buy them one by one.
Yep.
I definitely remember with terrible vision the several copies of my Pathfinder characters that I would make for each set of buffs that I might have in a combat.
Yeah.
That there's a certain point where, like, whenever I play a board game or something like that, that I just go, oh, this would be much better as a video game. And like every time I hear them talk about Pathfinder or 3.5, I just go, this sounds better like a video game where I don't have to do math or, pay attention to charts or anything. Yeah.
Listen, I got really good at math from playing D&D in the 80s and 90s. So let's just,
we learned Thaco. If you could do Thaco, you had to be good at math.
Yeah, you can do anything in the world if you learn Thaco.
I will say, though, a lot of my wheelhouse is running D&D games for children. And I think 5th edition, out of the games I've played, which, to be fair, like I've done some other systems, but 5th edition's really kind of where my heart is, where my brain is. It's got a very easy on-ramp where I can teach a bunch of 12-year-olds how to do it in about 2 hours. That's really kind of what I'm looking for in a game system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5e is real good for that.
So you said you ran Adventures League and you run kid games. Can you tell us some more about that?
Absolutely. I do a lot of running games at local conventions. Bruce and I usually we have a big like general pop culture convention locally called MegaCon, and then a smaller convention called QuestCon, which is very specific to RPGs. And we work pretty closely with the organizers there. That's actually where QuestCon's our first adventure, Echoes of Betrayal, premiered. And they kind of just know that if they have kids who want to play D&D, they give them to me and I do it. And, it's honestly really fun. Like, you are teaching them how to do math and social skills and how to play the game. Mm-hmm. But the kids can be so creative, and just seeing, like, if mom or dad's at the table, or when mom and dad come back and they're that you can see the light in their eyes. I did this and I did this and I died and it was so exciting, and it really warms your heart.
But I came back because a cleric healed me. Yeah.
Or even better, and I came back as so-and-so's cousin.
And I just erased the first letter of my name, and I went from Bob to Rob.
Schmerithy. It's great.
That's fantastic.
So when you were running Adventures League, I don't want to ask I want to ask Bruce some questions too, but Adventure League is close to my heart. So when you were running Adventures League, did you also just want to tear your hair out on a weekly basis, or did you have a great time doing it?
6 of one, half a dozen of the other. We were lucky, and this is pre-pandemic. Unfortunately, COVID decimated a lot of our local play spaces. We're still kind of slowly crawling our way back from all of that.
Just as a quick aside, it decimated mine too, and it took me like maybe a year and a half just to get a full table again. Yeah. And then now with D&D Encounters, I got 4 tables of people running. So it took a while, but it does eventually come back.
Mm-hmm. We were really lucky to have a bunch of game stores that were super supportive, had a ton of space. We eventually built to the point where we were able to run the Adventures League Epics for charity. And that was honestly probably one of my favorite D&D experiences. We did benefits for a couple of local charities. And those were super fun. But as the organizer, those were also some of my grumpy dungeon master moments, because not only would I be doing volunteer mustering and assigning to tables, if I knew a difficult player from around the community, I'm not going to give that to my volunteers who I'm only paying in pizza. I'm going to take that guy. So kind of the double-edged sword there, where it was so much fun. Bruce would usually do our like wandering walk around characters in costume. It was terrifying. But then also, when you're in charge, you gotta take the fall and be in charge, right? I think I only had to kick one guy out though, so that was fine.
Yeah, we've all had con experiences and things with players that aren't great.
Boy, howdy.
Yep.
It's definitely a little bit of a different animal when the con is yours, because if you have a problem player, you have to look around and go, oh no, I can't pass this to anybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never had to experience that at con, but all of us are also LARPers. Most of us have run the LARP at very high levels, and we're management and stuff. And yeah, I've had to deal with those people, and it's never fun. And you can't really pass it off to very many people. So you just got to handle it and tell them go away.
Yeah, when the buck stops with you, it's definitely different.
Yep.
On the plus side, though, like, one of the other really good things about Adventurers League and organized play in general is if you have a great group of players, you can reach out to them, you can make connections. Hey, I'm inviting you guys back to my next campaign. This was super fun. If you don't have a great group of players, if there's somebody you don't love, after this one shot or after this short series, there's somebody else's player. Like, you can assign them to somebody else. Like, that's something I love, is that you're not tied to a group of players just because they're the players you have in your area. And like, I have a wonderful group of regular players, but after a while, even my best players, I get sick of them. I want to try something new. Maybe that's just me. I mostly run for pickup, like randoms. I don't really run for people in my friend circle. And I think that's very much on purpose.
Huh. Whereas I'm very much the opposite. I do not like running randoms. I only tend to run for my core group of players.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Chris, on the other hand, I don't know that you have a core group. You just run for Adventures League. Oh,
no,
yeah.
I don't really have a core group because the stream was my core group that I turned into a stream. And, now that half of them died IRL and the other half are too busy, like it's been difficult trying to get them scheduling. Scheduling kills me no matter what,
Yeah.
Scheduling's the real monster.
Yeah, and that's what I like about the organized plays, because everyone's like, okay, we can meet here at this time and get the game running and everything's fine and good to go.
Mm-hmm.
So Bruce, you definitely sound like the person who's been playing much, much, much longer. What was your first foray into tabletop?
Oh, goodness gracious. I actually had the opportunity to tell the story in gruesome detail last week. Uh, it was exactly the kind of bad older brother D&D that you hear the apocryphal tales of. I think it was me and one other person, and the game was probably about an hour long and ended with the two of us completely unable to hit goblins in a caravan. And the DM asked us if we wanted to, and I quote, Deus Ex Machina, at which point his half vampire blade original character dropped in from the sky with a katana, cut the caravan in half, and I never played with him again.
Whoa! I don't think I'd
Yeah.
ever come back.
Yeah,
Oh,
somehow
wow.
I kept playing the game, but not with him.
I'm glad you came back to tabletop role playing games after that first experience.
Yeah, it was a little rough. It was a little rough. Then about a year later, a good friend of mine said, "Hey, you know our healer dropped out. Do you know how to play D&D?" And I said, "Yeah, I've played before." And that was good enough to get a seat at the table before they realized that I had no idea what I was doing. And I played a cleric for the next year and a half in that game. That was a 3-5 character. That was.
I could just envision you sitting at a table going, "Hey, so what does the half-blade vampire show up and Deus Ex Machina our way out of this?"
He never showed up again.
Oh, thank God.
So do you do any organized play running like Adventures League, or is that just all Carson?
You know, a lot of it kind of dropped off for me at the pandemic. I was doing a lot of running, some organizing. I really enjoy my kind of favorite style of running Adventures League or organized play games is taking a bunch of adventures that weren't designed together and then running a through line of plot in between them, and then creating effectively a custom campaign or campaign segment out of them. I find a lot of joy in that, which I can't quite do with Legends of Greyhawk yet. There's just not quite enough content to really make that happen.
So with the Legends of Greyhawk, you said there's the 3 bundles that are out now, and you guys are still working on more stories, right?
Oh, yes, we are. There's quite a bit going on behind the hood. But basically, the idea, I think, is that things will come out at a convention, they'll marinate for a while, they might reappear at different conventions or reappear online within the region, and then eventually they are released for public play.
Okay. That's really cool because, like I said, I know a lot of like older players that grew up on Greyhawk that wanted me to run that for, Adventures League, and I'm like, I can't find it. I don't know where it is, and surprise, surprise, I learned today that it actually does exist. So can you guys tell us about what you guys did right?
Yeah. So we've got 2 adventures that are published that we can absolutely talk all about. So both of those are in the bundle from D&D Beyond. So there's Echoes of Betrayal, which takes place in Turtleback Cove, which is a very much kind of a murder mystery investigatory adventure. So you wind up.
You're framed, basically.
Yeah. And you kind of get an offer you can't turn down to find out what may have actually happened. Because if not, well, you've already been framed.
And it was really great because that was our first time writing formally for any sort of D&D publication. And we got to work alongside Aaron Paval, who's an experienced writer. He's done some work with Shadowrun. He's done some other Adventures League work. And it was really great to have somebody who kind of actually knew what they were doing. Because, we collaborate together, we write together. I think everything we've done so far, we've written together. But we do occasionally need reining in because we'll have really great ideas and we need somebody to tell us, not yet, or maybe next time. Or you can't put all of that in one adventure. We only have so many words. So it was really great to get that level of mentorship.
That's cool. When you mean like so many words, do they actually give you like a word limit for the adventure?
So, I mean, anytime you've got publishing, your certain kind of restrictions therein. You know, the adventure can only be so long, but it has to be X number of words, and they're trying to get everything all in sort of a nice line and setup.
Because everything's around the con slot as well, right? Because these are designed for convention play. You know, we want to make it expandable where, you know, because I know when you run games at home, your traditional 4-hour Adventures League module actually takes about 16 hours when you do it, Bruce.
Yeah.
But when you're running a convention slot, you want to have that really tight beginning, middle, and end in that convention slot. So that really, I think, is our strongest limitation we have to kind of work under.
Something we like to do as writers as well is kind of write adventures that are easy to expand, and that's partially because I'm a sucker for expanding adventures. But you know, writing those, here are some things that could happen in this section of the adventure, and you know, letting the DM really be empowered to kind of stretch that out or squash that in as much as the time requirements allow or constrain.
Our other adventure we wrote just the two of us.
Yeah.
It's called Havoc at High Seas. It's definitely close to my heart. It's a favorite. Very much in the vein of Alien, but what if the alien was really bad at its job and mostly just annoying?
That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
It's great.
I've run it several times. It's honestly, it's a favorite.
And so the adventure you guys have that's out there now, you guys have run those at conventions, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so both of them have had convention premieres now.
Havoc premiered at MomoCon,
Yeah.
and Echoes of Betrayal was really cool. It premiered at QuestCon locally, so we got to be there. You got scheduled to run it, I didn't, but
Yeah.
But you got to kind of play it and see how people reacted in real time, which was really cool.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to have people not realize that my name was on the front of the adventure until the adventure was over.
That how did that go? Did the event, like with the players and you running the adventure and like it's being premiered there, did the players actually like do what they're supposed to do and succeed, or did they just like fail miserably at it?
So, great question. So two really big takeaways for me. The positive one, I would say, is that it is so cool to be able to like take your vision of an adventure and help guide everyone to see like the cool badass thing that you put together that you really want to show everybody. It feels great. You know, you can really have this super climactic end scene because you know every fiber of that adventure in really good detail. On the flip side, it is really, really weird when strangers are flirting with NPCs that you wrote. And you have to like defend this NPC that you are responsible for in all ways. It definitely feels, I don't have any kids, but if someone was flirting with my daughter in front of me, I feel like that's how it would be.
Huh.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad. I've done a lot of our playtesting work when we run for people before we, like when we're still firming things up and deciding what we want, but I'm excited to see what that's like on my own when it's time for the next one to come out.
Huh. Yeah, I haven't had the experience yet to actually run something that I wrote for like a con or group of people. Like I've written stuff and like gone to the store and run it like as playtest material, whatnot. But I haven't actually like seen something that I've written run in front of me. So I haven't had that experience yet. But I can just picture like the shared whatever that feeling is, like the secondhand embarrassment. That secondhand embarrassment I would get from it is just gonna be too much, I think, for me. So I Haven't had that yet, but I hopefully soon. I guess.
I would say that there's more secondhand serendipity than there is secondhand embarrassment.
Okay, that's good. It's good to
Would
know.
you say it feels different than when you run like the content you make for your home groups?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. There's something different about having it actually be written down and structured. Something that I've found is writing for other DMs is completely different than writing for myself.
Yeah.
When when I'm running my own home game or prepping a session, I'm going to say, a junkyard with cool stuff, roll on table F. And when you're writing an adventure for organized play, you really have to say, okay, there are 3 people who are running this plunder auction, and they're going to be selling these items, in this order, and right when the moment feels right, make an interruption to, really kind of give the framework of how the scene should flow, because otherwise that information just isn't going to reach the players.
Yeah, I would imagine that's definitely a different feeling. Like I've been writing my own homebrew stuff for God, I don't know how many years at this point, but I can't imagine me trying to take the stuff I write and then try to run it at a con where you have to be very sort of structured. You have to hit these marks, these beats, and you've got 3 hours, 4 hours to do it in.
The
And if
closest
you
thing I can compare it to is like when I write lessons plans for a substitute. I'm a teacher, so it's very much like writing a lesson that somebody else is going to give. So it has to have enough specificity to where they can do it, but it's got to be vague enough and have enough flex to account for, what the things that happen that might be unexpected, or the choices that people make that might not be the choices you expect.
Yeah, and let me tell you, at least I've seen it with Chris a number of times. If you write something, people are not going to do what you expect them to do. So you can give them the guidelines and say, if the players do this, this is the response. If the players do this, this is the response. And by goodness, some of those players are going to find that one where there is no expected response. They just will.
Yeah, that's part of the nature of putting anything out there in a publishing context, is that when the rubber meets the road, the things that you expected to happen are not the only things that will happen.
Yeah, very much so. So Chris has written a few different modules. What was it? Everyone's Been Naughty. Was the Christmas module, I think, is what it was, Chris. And I ran that one for my players on for a Christmas one shot. And the module was supposed to be 3.5 hours. My players did it in 2 hours because they just didn't do what they were supposed to.
Oh,
Just ignored everything that was going on, ran their own way, burned through things. Yeah. Lots of grumpy stories about that.
I've been running D&D encounters now since that program started, and I'm very glad that it's back, because it kind of does all the prep work for you. Like, you get the module and the maps and everything ahead of time, and it kind of basically tells you how to handle multiple tables, and there's cool things that can happen depending on if table A finishes first, or if table B finishes first, and like what to do, and tallying up, like, did they all rescue all the hostages? Tally up all the hostages, and if more than 5 were rescued, give everybody advantage for the next hour. So it's got a lot of really cool extra bits kind of going on that I remember from running D&D Encounters for 4th edition. But this last week, since I have 4 tables, one table decided not to deal with anything at all, ignore all the situations, and go back and just party with the townsfolk. But the townsfolk were the evil ones the entire time. And they're in a domain of dread that's kind of like Wicker Man-esque. So, like, everyone gets poisoned at the table, and they all become paralyzed, and they all get sacrificed to the Domineer. And because that table wiped, now all the monsters that we're fighting in these other 2 tables are now super strong. And I don't think you guys have to do anything like that with the Legends of Greyhawk, but that's been very interesting to kind of deal with that aspect of things, where players are just messing up and it's hurting other players at other tables. But that's kind of fun.
At least for the adventure segment that we worked on that premiered, it was 3 individual 4-hour adventures. Or I think they're technically 3-hour.
They're technically 3-hour, which I think is ace for a con slot. To me, that's perfect.
Yeah, you write a 3-hour adventure and you run it in a 4-hour slot. It's brilliant. But there's also they're called specials in Legends of Greyhawk parlance, but they're basically the same as the old Adventures League epics. Multi-table interactive adventures where actions at one table affect actions at the other tables. Everybody's working toward the same goal. There's timed events.
Yeah, I ran the one at QuestCon, and it was definitely very interesting because since Legends of Greyhawk is so new, there's a wide variety in the experiences. Like, you have people who are just starting organized play for the first time. You have people who maybe played Adventures League, but they're just starting their Legends of Greyhawk characters. I had the great fortune and privilege of running a table of very expert players who travel from con to con and play different Legends of Greyhawk adventures. So in other regions, more content has premiered. So their characters have items I haven't seen in the Greyhawk context. They're higher level than I would expect. So when I ran the special, I forget what it's called for the series that we did.
Oh yeah, the one with the hurricane.
Yeah, it's the series is called Krenukdul is what we've been calling it locally. But my tables would just zoom through things super quickly because the players were, I don't want to say overpowered. The characters were appropriate. Tempest of the Hollow Maw. They were appropriately leveled, but because they've been to other regions of the country to play, the characters are a little bit more powerful than I was expecting. So I had to think of ways that I could, keep them entertained within the segments of time for the special, but also, you don't want to make it too hard for them, because when you're doing one of those specials where other tables are depending on their success, you don't want to punch too hard when it's not really called for necessarily. So that was a fun challenge to kind of thread the needle on there.
That's interesting.
So it sounds like you have a little bit of leeway as to adjusting the modules when you're running them. Is that correct?
It's super neat. So whereas in AL you really had this focus on here's the adventure, run the adventure. You can swap out monsters, but don't make any changes where your experience would be in any way different than anyone else running this adventure. LOG takes a much more DM-focused stance than that. Basically slides you the adventure and says, hey, here's your story beats. Here's an adventure. You can totally write it just as written, but you are empowered to adjust, play with this, make it a little bit more your own, and really play in the space a lot more than Adventurers League gave you the setup for. So I really let DMs flex and be their individual individuals, even more than the Adventurers League rules kind of allowed for.
The story beat should be the same. They give you the stat blocks you need, but the adjustments, I think, are a bit more flexible as well. Like, I think every encounter is written with, if you have a less experienced party, here's what you could do instead. Or if you have a more experienced party, every encounter has some sort of adjustment, which to me is definitely very helpful as somebody who is, I don't have 20 years of experience with D&D or how to DM games behind me. Like, I'm definitely, I'm a storyteller. I'm still learning mechanics wise. So having those is super helpful. And the adventures even encourage you, consult with your players on what kind of experience you want. Do they want to have a less challenging adventure? Do they want to have a, pedal to the metal, you're trying to catch your breath at the end of every section, throw the most challenging thing at you every time adventure? It really, you adjust and keep the challenge appropriate as you go, but it really encourages you to, talk to the players and see what kind of experience is it that you want to have.
that's good DMing anyway. Like, every encounter can vary. Like it, you said you had it. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
The best part was us sitting here thinking, I was like, man, I don't do that at all. And you're like, that's what a good DM does. Thanks. throwing me under the bus there without knowing it.
No. Yeah. Well,
It was deliberate.
Yeah, it's definitely on purpose. No, you've complained ad nauseum on this podcast about Adventures League not letting you stretch your limbs, as it were. And this a game master has to adjust on the fly. You just have to. And I like that they allow you to do that, unlike the Adventures League, which doesn't allow that at all, it seems like.
Yeah, Adventures League is very much as written.
Yeah. Like I said, at least with encounters, we have a little bit more leeway, it feels like, but still we're getting lots of TPKs and, I don't know if it's the intent with like encounters to be like as deadly as it was, but like they gave us a bunch of pre-mades and a bunch of other characters that, are from Ravenloft or like the Ravenloft book. And so a lot of them like deal necrotic damage or poison damage. But you're also fighting a lot of stuff that's undead and or resistant or immune to necrotic and poison damage. So half the players with the pre-mates can't do anything. And only the players that built their own character can actually do stuff. So I don't know if they thought that out. But that's been kind of a hurdle for the players. But, they've been succeeding somewhat, so can't complain too much, I guess. So I know you said that you had done with a bunch of kids. I just started running D&D for my daughter as well. Any advice for me for playing games for children? That on a side note, I just had the game with her today for the listeners, and in the game that I ran today, I one child decided just to run guns a-blazing into one room, and I almost killed him. My daughter picked him up before he bled out, and then he turned around and ran into the other room. And then I crit him and gave the kid the opportunity to either A, have his weapon get destroyed and take half damage and survive, or B, get hit in the face, die immediately because I dealt something like 30 damage to him on a crit. And he turns to me and goes, "Oh, you can let him die. I have plenty of extra lives behind me." And he gestured at the stack of papers of pre-mates that he had brought with him. So it's a much different experience for me running a game for kids.
Quick, hide behind the mound of dead bards.
Do you have any advice for me with running for children?
It's definitely a very different experience. Bruce and I, when I taught middle school, we ran a D&D club at the middle school for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, about 20 kids. We had a couple of volunteers. It was great. But it's very important to keep in mind, not only are you teaching them like how to play D&D for the most part, a lot of our kids walked in never having played before, but you're also teaching them how to take turns and in some cases how to do math. So really a lot of it is, and honestly, I do this exact same thing with my adult players. A lot of your adult players are really just big child players. But it's kind of setting the social contract at the beginning where, we are all friends at the table. Even if we've never met before, our characters are friends. We're adventuring together. We don't stab our friends or pickpocket our friends. And helping them decide on how they're going to make decisions. Because, as the DM, you don't want to do that for your players, but sometimes the kids need a bit more hand-holding. So, and I do this with adult players too. If we have a really strong disagreement, we can't decide what we're going to do. Do we want to do a majority vote? Do we want to do rock, paper, scissors? Do we want to roll for it? Letting them take ownership of that choice kind of helps them coagulate their ideas together. So my other big tip is if you're playing at a mixed table, where like I've had a bunch of convention experiences where I'm DMing for a family. Mom is here with her 2 kids and they're half my table and the other half is adults. Let the kids make the decisions. Usually mom or dad will kind of rein them in a little bit, or, I don't think that's a good idea. But if you let the kid take charge and tell mom or dad what to do, they're going to make better choices. Like that's just my experience because they don't want to like let their people down, you know?
Okay. Yeah, because definitely I understand the idea of like taking turns because like they can just get so wound up and be like, you should do this, you should do that, and like no, let them decide what they want to do. You know, you did your thing and no one interrupted you. Now it's time for them to do their thing, for better or for worse. And they are coming up with very creative ideas
too.
Yeah, they do come up with very creative ideas, and you know, luckily they all survived. Jay, by the way, I ran your whole lollipop thing. By the way,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
How'd it go?
Once they learned that the goblin was calling a mace a lollipop, they were very confused, and then got mad at me, the DM, for calling the mace anything but a lollipop from that point forward in the game. So like I was helping my daughter, like, okay, use your mace and hit him. Like, you mean the lollipop, Dad? Yes, sweetie, hit him with the lollipop. Okay.
Member of the Lollipop Guild.
Yeah. And what was that horrific amalgam monster you created for the game you ran for some kids?
The bear.
Oh God.
Oh,
the bear?
no.
Are you talking about the crocodile thing?
Yes.
The cockroach.
Oh yeah. So
I'm sorry?
So I ran a game of Pyroborg for some friends of mine, and I was running it that night. Went out to brunch with my brother and his little daughter's, I think 4 now, and she was telling me about a nightmare she had about the cockroach. I'm like, I'm sorry, the what? Had the same response you did, and she described to me a mutation between a crocodile and a roach. It's a crocodile that can come out of the water and then skitter up the wall like a cockroach. And I was like, Jesus Christ, kids have the best fucking ideas. And I immediately went home, and not only did I create this monster to throw into my Pyroborg game, this was going to be a monster that they're going to have to fight because they have to get past this nest that that this thing has created in the cave that they're going to go get the pirate treasure in. And I literally went to the store and got a couple of toys and hacked them together, like a toy cockroach and a toy crocodile, and hacked them all together for the miniature to slap down on the table. And it definitely ate somebody, and then crawled up on the ceiling, continuing to eat them.
So thank you for my nightmares. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Kirsty, my niece.
I'm going to ask a question I don't really want the answer to, but I feel like has to be asked. On the scale of cockroach to crocodile, how big is this creature?
It is probably the biggest crocodile that you can imagine, but then it also has the carapace of a cockroach and the wings of a cockroach. So,
the wings, of course.
Oh yeah, it can fly too. Why not? But mostly it just skitters.
Somehow it's worse than I imagined.
Yeah. It was a great time. But yeah, kids have the best ideas.
They really do.
Their imagination is beyond what an adult can fathom, because everybody's grounded in the real world, and when you're that young, like your imagination is limitless. And I will definitely pirate any ideas from my son or my niece anytime they come up with something crazy like that.
Yeah, they haven't been told it's not possible yet and to pay their taxes.
Yeah, we wind up outsourcing a lot of our creativity to the wee hours of the morning. I can't tell you how many times I've been woken up and had to get my phone and frantically write down the absolutely insane things that occur to one of us at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Or I don't know what it is, but the shower too. Like I'll get hollered at from across the house to come over and take notes because Bruce has had a shower idea, or vice versa.
It really is the ideas machine.
For me, it's a long car ride. If I'm in the car for like a couple hours, just ideas are streaming through there.
I had to stop that, and I'll tell you why. So I would like drive to the LARP and drive back from the LARP. For me, it's like a 3.5, 4 hour drive. And I remember one time that I got lost deep into thought for my stream game about how I was going to get things to go, because I was listening to Ed Greenwood talk about the Waterdeep Secret Police in one of his YouTube videos. And so then I kind of just like turned on some lo-fi and I just started thinking about that and started planning on plotting. And I had just gotten on the highway. I had about a good 3 hours of just highway driving ahead of me before I got home. I remember everything about what I thought about for the Waterdeep Secret Police and how to integrate that to my story. What I don't remember was anything about the drive other than, oh shit, I'm home. So
yeah, that's what you want.
That's not what I want, because I don't know who drove my car for those 3 hours. It wasn't me. I hope it was Jesus, because it wasn't me. So I try not to in the car, like on purpose, because I don't want to get like just daydreaming and then all of a sudden I'm hitting the back of a semi. But I get the shower thoughts all the time too. There's like 3 or 4 dreams I have almost on a reoccurring basis every single year. And it's the same story and story outline, same characters. And they just keep adding to that same story year after year after year. I'm like, okay, this would be a great D&D campaign if it wasn't so lazy and would actually write it all down. But yeah, I definitely get the idea of the shower thoughts and the dream thoughts.
Yeah.
Has any of those ideas made it to the Greyhawk games? I'm guessing some of the shower thoughts have.
So I remember one night we were working on our very first adventure, and this is a character in Echoes of Betrayal, Lem the Lunk, and I had this idea to do like a fight night pro wrestling style, like Bugbear, you fight her and she's from the other pirate gang and she's like doing the Bugbear thing, but then after the fight she's actually very articulate and very well spoken, and you meet up with her in the locker room after, and she kind of shakes your hand and gives you the information you want, and she's very well mannered. And she made it in. Like, honestly, when we play tested that, the players got a huge kick out of it. I really love just like taking, the stereotypical Bugbear and turning her on her head to make her something really exciting. And there's a lot of fun things you can do. In Florida, that's where we're based out of. We're surrounded by a lot of like piratey, vibes. Like, if we drive south to Disney World, there's Pirates of the Caribbean. If we drive north to St. Augustine, there's a whole pirate village. So just taking that kind of inspiration from the things that are around us and the things that we see, it's really cool.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
That's awesome. Yeah.
All right, so we're getting close to an hour. Real quickly before we move on to your grumpy stories, I wanted to talk briefly about the Legends of Greyhawk. So when I was talking about I didn't know what Legends of Greyhawk was earlier, to me, as soon as I saw this and started perusing it, I was imagining the RPGA. Are you too familiar with the RPGA?
I'm familiar with it from late night conversations at GameholeCon, but I never got to actually participate in it. I'm not firsthand familiar.
Yeah, I personally never got to participate either because I didn't really do conventions when it was a thing. I think Dan and Christian might have got to do some.
I briefly did.
Yeah.
It sounds what you guys have described. It sounds very similar to what the RPGA was back in the 90s. Christian and I are located in Atlanta, and we used to attend DragonCon in the 90s. And, DragonCon was huge for gaming in the 90s. Not as much as it used to be, obviously, but it's kind of pivoted towards cosplay and things like that. But back then, like all of the big companies, TSR, FASA, all of them, they all showed up every year, and RPGA was huge then. And it was the easiest game to get into if you didn't know that you needed to sign up, months in advance for your game, was an RPGA game. You just kind of show up and you can just sit down at a table and you get an RPGA game. So I had done that, and I got my copies of Polyhedron after joining the RPGA for $40 a year or whatever, thinking, oh, I'm going to go to other cons, not realizing I'm 14. I'm not going to other cons. DragonCon's the only con I'm ever going to go to. So of course, the next time I go to DragonCon, like my character's still level 1 and has like a Masterwork longsword, and that's his entire wealth. So I was getting a kick whenever Carson, you were talking about like the guys that actually travel around different cons, and they showed up with a bunch of extra magic items and stuff that you'd never seen before. I'm like, that's kind of how I felt sitting down at those tables at the RPGA, and I can't say it felt great because like I show up and it's like I'm a new character. Hello, my I have nothing to really contribute here other than sword, and they're like, well, I have like 15 magic items, and I could probably use an immovable rod, and then we use a decanter of endless water to start a waterfall over here. We're like, what the what? And I'm just like, how long have you guys been playing this? Oh, we've been playing this for 6 years. And it was just like, and of course, this is also back in AD&D first, or actually, I guess it's second edition.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it was second ed.
so people were wildly different levels too. So I'm literally level 1, and I'm hanging out with like a 9th level wizard. I'm like, why are you even here? I guess I'll tag along, but if I get hit by one thing, I'm just dead. But
I think Legends of Greyhawk learned a lot from that sort of experience because
I hope
it
so.
does kind of borrow from the Adventurers League. You know, there's sets of adventures that are by level, and I think we're only just starting to see
Tier 2 content.
Tier 2 or it's not Tier 2 anymore, but it's levels, whatever it is.
Oh,
whatever it is. Yeah,
we don't call them tiers anymore, but
Yeah.
it's the well, they're still called tiers in the player's handbook, I think. Pretty sure.
Legends of Greyhawk calls it something different.
But yeah, it's level 5 plus.
And
Okay.
it's kind of like some of the later seasons of Adventurers League where even if you have one magic item, you trade it in for another one. So the people who are showing up don't have more items than you, but they might have different items from you, if that makes sense.
Oh, thank God. I'm glad somebody actually thought about that and fixed it, because not even too long ago, maybe 8, 9, 10 years ago, one of the last times I really attended DragonCon regularly, Christian and I tried to sit down at a Shadowrun game.
Shadowrun.
Shadowrun. It was like Shadowrun Missions is what it was called, but it was very much like, Legends of Greyhawk or Adventurers League, and it was people showing up that have been to other cons, and they just showed up with whatever characters. And again, we're showing up with just pre-gens that are literally on the table, and then there's these guys that have like all the XP spends. If they have cybernetics and stuff, they have all the cybernetics. They have 4 actions around when all of us are doing 1 action around. I'm like, what is
none of the
happening?
rules for any of their stuff.
And they also knew none of the rules either. But it's just these people that are just weird power gamers, I guess, getting a kick out of being the only guy at the table that can literally do everything. It's weird. It was weird. And I honestly, that's kind of when I stopped ever signing up for any games that were officially RPGA style or type games. But it sounds like Legends of Greyhawk seems to have fixed that. So I do actually attend more than one con here these days because I'm not 14 anymore. So maybe I'll sign up for something. Like that.
I did actually stick with the RPGA for a few years when I was young doing that, and if I played a bunch of them, I'd go to DragonCon for the whole weekend, and I would play in like 4 or 5 RPGA games. And so I would get it. And I did have one very nice older grandfatherly gentleman that realized that he had gotten in a table, and he had been doing this for forever, and he went to multiple cons a year because he was retired and had money. And it ended up at a table with a bunch of teenagers who were local to the area, like me and Pinkston and all our crew. And we're none of this. And so he did the thing where I guess you could officially transfer items and stuff, because he handed each of us magic items from his character so that we would have stuff going forward.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah,
he was a super nice guy. He realized that he was with a bunch of teenagers that were just there to have fun, and it was like our first time doing this sort of stuff. And so he was, and we were at a couple of games with him, and so he kind of took us under his wing and was like, okay, well, I'm like 7 levels higher than the rest of you guys, so I will be the guy that goes first and stands in the front and tries to get you guys some XP.
Yep.
One of my favorite organized play stories, I went to Origins one year. I was there helping a friend out, taking a spot of somebody who couldn't make the trip anymore. And that was probably the biggest convention I've traveled to. I normally stay pretty local, but I had time for an Adventurers League game. So I sat down, and I'm one of those people who's a forever DM. So I brought a Death Cleric that I earned and my blood and my sweat during this Tomb of Annihilation season. I was very excited. It's kind of my show off character, whatever. And I sat down at this table with these 4 guys and like this 12-year-old kid. And, you know, the 4 older guys, they're like dad and uncles, I think. And they're like experienced D&D players, but they've created a group of 4 turtles, and the kid is playing Shredder as a
Oh, hell yes.
I forget what the rabbit folk are called.
Oh man, how did I also forget that?
But anyway, and so these guys, they're intentionally playing kind of goofy, and the kid is having to rein them in, like, no, you can't just run in there. And honestly, just being at that table and like, you know, I had a really fun character built out, and I had all my like fun, cool stuff from being in AL longer than dirt. But that experience was so fun and so fresh. And I don't think I don't think any of the stuff that any of us brought in mattered. It was the story that we wrote and the time that we had that was what was important.
That's really the case, yeah.
I don't think I ever got to run an AL adventure game with an official character. I don't even have one made up. I don't know what I would get for over a decade now of running Adventure League on a weekly basis as a character from the DM rewards. I don't even know if it still exists or not. All I remember is that one year I earned a fangless spider, and I'm still happy that I have it. It's somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But that must have been cool. I mean, I'd love to play be the Shredder to a bunch of turtles.
Yeah, and play the rabbit folk as Usagi Yojimbo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And honestly, when I play Legends of Greyhawk, I've had the privilege of being able to sit down at a couple of con games. I play a fresh character every time. Like, I come in at level 1 just to have that experience and see what it looks like from the player perspective.
That's awesome.
I don't do that.
And that's okay too, man.
I earned my character. I ain't doing nothing else.
I will keep a character at the end of each tier that is the character that I want to play at that tier, and that's the character that I will come in with.
One of these days, I'm going to sit down at a table where somebody's running one of our adventures, and I'm just not going to tell them anything. I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to.
I'm hoping that we go to a convention not as authors and people are running the adventures that we wrote, and I can just sit down and experience it.
I bet you that'd be cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I really hope too that they mess not that they mess up and do a bad job, but I hope they mess something up and go, I don't think the author intended that. And then you can pull out the head as like, haha, I am the author. I did intend it that way.
You don't do that. You gotta do it you say at the end, be like, I really like the way you ran that, but what I intended was
I have been the person who has said, I don't think the author intended that. And the person running the adventure said, well, actually, I did. That felt embarrassing.
I was going to say, did you just, did you go back to the con?
Yeah. Well, like, I was enjoying a lot of the adventure. There was one, thing that was kind of ambiguous. And I couldn't even tell you what it is now. But I was like, I don't know. That doesn't sound right to me. And it turns out that was playing with the author. And then I got to have a completely different experience from that point on, because then it wasn't just, let's play this adventure together. It's tell me about why you made these decisions as we're going through, which was honestly really cool and really useful for writing and thinking about the process of putting together an adventure for other people to run.
Yeah, a little behind the scenes.
Yeah, we really should have touched on that too. But I guess you said we're getting close to the hour, right?
Yeah, we're a little over an hour at this point.
All right.
So yeah, at the beginning of this thing, I told you guys to give us some grumpy stories. So to wrap this podcast up, let's do that. Which one of you wants to go first?
So I can go ahead and start. I know it is a grumpy DM story, but I'm going to tell a story about when I was grumpy at the DM, because the DM was Bruce. Bruce is running a Spelljammer game right now. It's super fun. There's a lot of very physical puzzles, which is I'm not as wild about because it's my house and I do have to clean them up. But we were planning this heist, and I swear it took us like 2 weeks to plan the heist. It's a pretty small table. There's just like 4 or 5 of us, and we're talking round and round in circles. And that is my least favorite part of playing D&D. I don't like talking about what we're going to do in the pretend game. I just want to do it and then see what happens. So I'm honestly kind of tuning out most of it. I'm like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and it's going to be great. And you guys get me in and get me out. And I'm just going to do a bunch of fun stuff. And, we implement the heist and we get there, and we've been talking about this for weeks. And our plan for how we're going to leave is that our warlock has a scroll of teleportation. So we're like, okay, yeah, we can just teleport out. And Bruce listens to this the whole time and doesn't remind us that you have to be able to cast the spell to use the scroll. So we get to the end of the heist, people are chasing us, breathing down our necks. We have the thing that we need. We're all standing in a circle holding hands, and our warlock takes out the scroll. And then Bruce is like, can you cast that? And we all have to scramble through our rule books. And I very much enjoy being married to you, but I did not enjoy it at that particular moment.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
They were at the top of a tower. They had enemies below them. They had harried them mostly, but they were still very aware of where they were. They had the item they were stealing. And all they had to do was escape.
Who was right?
It was great.
Yeah. Did you have Featherfall? Maybe jump off the tower. I don't know.
They wound up using a series of dimension doors, but then they had to do a bunch of other stuff to get much further away because of how short the range was.
And we can never go back to the Rock of Brawl again.
Yep, they're looking for you there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
that's a good one. All right, Bruce, what story do you have for us?
Actually, real quick, I wanted to ask. You said you're running Spelljammer. Are you running did you have to go out and get a bunch of old second edition rules for it to work?
You know what? I think that's actually I think that's my grumpy story, in fact. So
Yes.
I'm a huge fan of Spelljammer. I really love space fantasy. I grew up on Treasure Planet and Atlantis, and I just Disney's Atlantis. You figured that, but and so I was so excited when 5th edition Spelljammer came out. And so I bought it. I had a DM who ran it, and I didn't read any of the adventure before I played it so that I could experience it for the first time. And I knew all this from reading the wiki, all this stuff about 2nd edition Spelljammer, all these different monsters and scenarios, and the way that Nyogi have ships and Beholder have these giant Beholder ships with gravity planes, and I'm so excited, and none of it exists. None of it's in 5th edition. It just didn't make it in. So
no phlogiston. No,
Didn't make the cut.
Didn't make the cut.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
So, and now that I'm running a game, I said, okay, I want to play in this world because I love the world. But Spelljammer as a setting, way too big, which they fixed with the Astromundi cluster box. They said, okay, let's make a much, much smaller place that you can actually visit all the different areas and experience this world instead of experiencing this setting that has been thinned out to just be a transition period between different spheres. So I'm going to build a much smaller sandbox. And I have had to hunt and fight and dig to find all of the 2nd edition stuff because it's the only place where rules for spelljamming actually exist. So
Man, you're preaching to the choir.
Constantly just because I love the hunt, so I'm constantly looking at used bookstores and hunting through eBay and just finding these physical copies because I'm not going to read through a PDF for my own home game. I'm not doing that. So it is.
He's a man. He's a man of our own heart here.
It makes birthday gifts really easy, so I can complain.
That's true.
Just look on a shelf,
Yeah.
see if he has a particular Spelljammer book, and just go buy it.
I keep a list.
What I did is I went to DM's Guild and I saw that you could buy print on demand copies of the old Spelljammer stuff
I've seen
from
those.
them. And I was like, you know what? I have a lot of I've sold a lot of stuff on DM's Guild. I got a lot of credits. So it's what I did. I bought a whole bunch of stuff off of DM's Guild, print on demand, old second edition stuff. And I know it's not the original, and I still hunt for the original ones, to collect them. But that helped so much, and I was so disappointed too when I read like okay, cool, let's see what all the spelljamming
What it
helms you
should
can
have
get in
been.
this new edition.
Yeah.
None?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
a choice.
Christian, a couple years back, we got real excited for doing a pirate campaign, and Ghost of the Salt Marsh came out. And again, it's a waterborne adventure series of modules strung together haphazardly at best. And Christian did a great job trying to make it actually work and thread the needle. But there was nothing in the book about ship-to-ship battles other than, hey, ships have hit points and stuff, and look at the drowning rules. Ta-da! Get fireballed. It's like, what the F? Really? That's all you got? I likewise had a very similar experience. I was super excited to play Spelljammer. I even downloaded like the album that they came out.
It's in my record player right now.
It's actually not bad. It's not bad.
It's great. It's really good.
But a buddy of ours, Kevin, was running Spelljammer, and he went and found he played Spelljammer Second Edition. He knew all the lore. My brother owned some of the books, and I looked through and it's like, I really want to play this, and we never got around to playing it. And when 5th edition came around, I had the same thing. It's like, oh my god, they're finally going to do it. Let's do this. And disappointment is all I can just say. He did his best with what he had. We're trying to do it on the VTT and on Roll20, and after about 3rd or 4th level, we're like, okay, guys. At this point in time, I'm just jamming old D&D adventures into asteroids and shit at this point, and I can't do this anymore. I can't just keep converting old 2nd edition crap, stuff over to 5th edition. It's just it's wearing on me, and we of course changed gears and never looked back. Disappointment.
I remember distinctly when I was running that Salt Marsh game that I ran one module, like one of the adventures from it, straight from the book, no alterations.
Oh, no. Which one?
I tried to remember which one, but I remember afterwards we ran it like normally they would take a couple of sessions to go through one, but they ran through that in one session, and afterwards Dan's wife looked at me and said, "Christian, what the fuck was that?"
I did the same thing. I ran several of the Salt Marsh adventures strung together with a loose plot with Sahuagin. And you can find the fun in there, but yeah, it does take a little hammering.
Yes.
I'm a Ravenloft person. We're eating real well right now.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, the best thing that I definitely have run in 5e was Curse of Strahd, and I ran that for 2 years every week and loved it. Loved running it. Players loved playing it, and I think that's definitely the high mark of 5th edition for me. A lot of the other stuff that has come out had bits and pieces that were great, but as a whole, I don't think any book has ever topped Curse of Strahd.
Yeah, honestly, the Adventures League modules for Curse of Strahd, I've run them probably 6 or 7 times at this point.
Oh my god, they're so good.
They're so good.
Curse of Strahd is the only 5e published campaign that I've actually played all the way through, and it was actually a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Turns out everyone loves the villain.
I kind of wish the new book had more than just a couple just random adventures, and rehash classes and whatnot. I'm really hoping that they dive into another domain of dread other than Ravenloft and really explore and stretch their legs there officially in some capacity. But definitely check out the D&D Encounters modules. it's the actual official live play show they have now with
Neil Newbon, I watched a bit of it.
yeah,
Dungeon Masters.
yeah, Dungeon Masters. So the D&D Encounters modules are a sequel to that story.
Whoa!
So like that story played out, and now your players are taking over from that point forward.
Oh my god, I love that.
And that's really cool. And like that's top notch work there, guys. Like that really works. Like the map pack that you can buy are all the maps that you need to use in the actual encounter session, and they supply a couple. And to kind of like have the same characters like show up in the modules and stuff like that's been a neat kind of like combo that I never got with Adventures League, but you definitely check those out. It's really cool. You can, I know D&D Beyond does have that, but you have to hunt for it like Legends of Greyhawk stuff, I guess. But it is really cool.
If we're gonna plug Ravenloft content, I have to throw in my absolute favorite chapter of a published book to run. Radiant Citadel has an adventure in one of the Domains of Dread, and I forget what it's called, but I had the pleasure of running it at midnight in a con slot one year. Like we started at 11, we ran until 1 a.m. Scariest game I've ever run. Like honestly, if you can get your players like really sleep deprived, it amps up the horror to like 13. So 10 out of 10 would recommend that. It's a chapter in the Radiant Citadel book if you happen to check that out. It's really, really good.
Yeah, not to harping back to the Adventures League, but that's like what I ended up having to do once Spelljammer came out, and that was the last like official module that they wrote for. And the team kind of got like downsized to nothing. I just started running all the anthology stuff one after the other, and that worked out real well. I never got a chance to run Radiant Citadel though. Now I'm disappointed I didn't do it. Maybe I'll definitely take a look at that. So I think we're well past an hour now, right, Jay?
We're definitely past an hour, yes.
Any final bits of advice for players like or DMs like me who are forever and never get a chance to play and only run convention modules forever?
Go to a convention and don't tell them you're going to DM.
Yeah, go to a convention you don't know the organizer.
That's honestly, that's when we get to play, really. If you're going to Dragon Con, I can't say too much about it, but you'll find something of ours there. So do that.
Yeah. You guys ever going to Gary Con? And you guys said you went to MomoCon, right?
We had something debut there. That's where Havoc got its first run through. We weren't there, unfortunately. I stay pretty local, but Bruce travels a fair amount.
Yeah, I've been to Momo a handful of times. I go to Gamehole Con just about every year. Haven't made it out to Gary Con yet. Haven't made it out to Dragon Con yet. Don't know how I haven't, but just hasn't been in the cards.
If your choices are Gary Con or Dragon Con, everybody here is going to tell you Gary Con.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not that, like I'm sure there's a lot of great stuff that happens at Dragon Con, but it's 100,000 people. It's just too big. Whereas Gary Con, perfect size, perfect convention. Everybody's great.
About 4,000 people, and everybody is approachable, from all the old TSR guys to Luke Gygax himself, and just go chill, have a drink with him in the bar. Happen to run into Joe Manganiello, Tom Morello, and Vince Vaughn on their way to their game. No big deal, and everyone's just a gamer. And they go to Dragon Con and you have actual big name celebrities that have security guards that are clearing the path, and you have people that are drinking 24/7.
Yeah.
And while there's bars open at Gary Con, it's pretty chill comparatively. That said, I mean, they did move all the gaming at Dragon Con over to one part of Peachtree Center, so it's nice and quiet and away from all of that. But it also feels like gaming's been banished. It's a little weird. Like on the bottom floor of it is like all the card gaming, which is kind of loud, and then the next 2 floors is just tabletop games, and it feels like you've been banished to like the back rooms or something. It's weird because it's an old office building, convention center thing, and I don't know. It's strange. Having gone for 20 some odd years, it's strange what's become of it. But
Yeah, I honestly have a really strong preference for like a smaller convention. Like we have locally
Oh, yeah.
QuestCon, which
yeah,
is just a board gaming and tabletop gaming focused convention.
Hmm.
So, the gaming is everywhere. Like it surrounds you. There's a whole like Warhammer tournament that's like adjacent to it. You can just walk through there and they have beautifully painted models, but it definitely feels kind of like a family reunion every year. Whereas, locally we have MegaCon and I've been to Origins. They're much larger and you don't necessarily have that same vibe. So I guess that's my best piece of advice is go to a smaller convention somewhere you don't normally go.
yeah. They just started one locally here. There's a local couple of game stores called Level Up Games, and they started a convention last year at the what's the name of the arena, Christian? Gwinnett Arena,
The
I
Gas
think.
South Arena.
Gas South Arena. They rename it every year
Yeah.
whenever a hockey team changes the sponsor. But pretty local. But they've started getting some big names already. They only started it last year, but it's called Level Up Games Con or LugCon. And last year we went to it, and they had 3 days of gaming. Maybe 3,000 people total. A pretty
wow.
decent showing for
Wow.
the dealer's room, but I just saw that ninth level games got booked as well as Chaosium games as vendors, so they'll be running some of their stuff like Pendragon and Call of Cthulhu and Mazes and Return to Dark Tower and things like that. And there's a decent like card gaming presence there too, but it's clearly a heavy emphasis on role playing games and board games, and they also have a huge like board game library you can rent. Like give them your license and pay $5, and you can grab whatever board game you want from the wall of board games and sit there for as long as you want. But that's a pretty good one to check out too.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you both very much for joining us and just chatting with us, which turned out to be just more of chatting about Adventures League.
Yeah.
And we definitely will try to have you back on again because I want to get back into like how you guys write and very specific details on that. And I'm very interested in about that. But yeah, thank you both for joining us.
Thank you for having us. It's been wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
Jay,
you, guys.
any last things?
If you have any social media you feel like pitching or things coming out you want to pitch, go for it.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So I guess like we said, something cool is coming at Dragon Con. I can't give many more specifics than that. But check out the bundles on D&D Beyond. And if you're interested in getting into Legends of Greyhawk, there is a post on D&D Beyond with everything you need. But the official website is legendsofgreyhawk.com. And of course, we work with Game Conclave, which is one of the kind of sponsor areas. Their website is gameconclave.com. I am fiercely private and I do not do social media. Bruce, do you have anything you want to plug?
I don't have any author social media yet, though I really should get one. By the next
you ask us on, we'll have something.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining. It was a good time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.